We continue to explore the content of Zhuangzi's Autumn Floods chapter. In the last video, Zhuangzi introduced to us through fables that the Great Way or Tao means going with the flow of time and space and not being fixated on distinctions between small or large, good and bad. Next, the river god continues to ask questions to the sea god. The river god asked, whether it is about the external or internal aspects or things, how do we distinguish between what is noble and mean and what is great or small? The sea god replied, from the perspective of the Tao, there is no distinction between noble and mean. From the perspective of the things themselves, each considers itself noble and despises others. From the perspective of common opinion, whether something is noble or mean does not depend on the thing itself. From the differences between things, if we call something great because it is larger than others, then everything can be considered great, and likewise, everything can be considered small. We can see that the heavens and the earth might be as small as a grain of rice, while the tip of a hair might be as large as a hill or a mountain, and this is the view based on relative size. So the question of should we not follow and honor what is right and have nothing to do with what is wrong show a lack of understanding of Tao. It's like honoring heaven but ignoring earth, or valuing yin but ignoring yang. Clearly, this approach doesn't work. The river god asked, okay, but what should I do? What shouldn't I do? The sea god replied, from the perspective of the Tao, what is noble and what is mean? These are just opposite ends of the same scale. Don't cling to your own opinions. It only puts you against the Tao. Don't try to be the same as everyone else. It shows how far you are from the Tao. Be strict and fair like a ruler who doesn't favor anyone. Be careful and kind like the spirit of the land who blesses everyone equally. Be open-minded like the sky with no limits or boundaries. This is called having no bias. All things are treated equally with no distinctions. The Tao has no beginning or end. Things are born and die, and nothing stays the same. Sometimes there is emptiness, sometimes there is fullness. They keep changing. Time keeps moving forward, and nothing can stop it. Decay and growth, fullness and emptiness, they end and begin again. This is how we understand the way of righteousness and the principle of all things. With every moment, things change. So what should you do? Just let things happen naturally and go with the flow. Next, Zhuangzi tells some fables to further illustrate what he meant by telling the story of the river god and sea god, and I'm picking 3 out of them. The first fable goes, Zhuangzi was fishing by the river when 2 officers from the king approached him with a message. The king wants you to take charge of his entire territory. Without turning around, Zhuangzi kept holding his fishing rod and said, I've heard that in this country there is a sacred turtle from 3,000 years ago. The king keeps it in the temple, wrapped it in a cloth. Was it better for the turtle to die and have its shells honored like this? Or would it have been better to live and drag its tail through the mud? The officers replied, it would have been better to live and drag its tail through the mud. Zhuangzi said, then go back and tell the king, I will keep dragging my tail through the mud. Here is the second fable. Huizi was a minister in a country, and Zhuangzi went to visit him. Someone told Huizi that Zhuangzi wanted to take his job, so Huizi got scared and searched for Zhuangzi all over the kingdom for 3 days and nights. Later, Zhuangzi went to see Huizi and said, there is a bird in the south called the phoenix. It flies from the South Sea to the North Sea. It only rests on one kind of tree, eats only the fruit, and drinks only from pure springs. Once, an owl that had a rotten rat screeched at a passing phoenix. Are you trying to scare me away with a similar screech now that you have the country? In these two fables, Zhuangzi expresses the idea of rejecting empty worldly fame and maintaining the purity and freedom of the inner self. Now goes the third fable. Zhuangzi and Huizi were walking on a bridge over the river. Zhuangzi said, "Look at the fish. The fish swim around so freely and happily. That's what it means to enjoy life." Huizi replied, "You're not a fish. How can you know what makes fish happy?" Zhuangzi said, "You're not me. How can you know what I know?" Huizi said, "I'm not you, so I don't fully understand you. But you're definitely not a fish, so you can't know what makes them happy." Zhuangzi said, "Let's stick to your original question. You asked me how I know what makes fish happy. That means you already knew I knew it. I know it because we're both enjoying ourselves here by the river." Now, although it may seem like sophistry at the end, it has a kind of childlike innocence and charm, highlighting the overall theme of returning to the true self expressed by autumn floods. It also brings the entire article to an end.